All righty. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining Alex and I here. We'll get started here in just a minute. Let folks kind of filter in
Yeah, good to, I guess, not see everybody, but it's kind of a bummer.
virtually. Yeah. Awesome. All righty. Well, let's get started. My name's Brendan. I'm on the developer relations team here at Kilo Code. I'm coming to you from a little bit chilly morning here on the East Coast of the U.S. in Annapolis, Maryland. Oh, I realized just now I have Annapolis. I need to make that
Look at
look
that.
better, but in my
And
background,
and
so I
you've
can
got an
even see it.
Orioles thing right up behind you as well.
Yeah,
Like,
Orioles. Well, so fun fact. That's Orioles and O like O'Leary. And
oh,
so for our wedding
uh,
cake, well, for the groom's cake at our wedding, we had that O on it. And I was
nice.
like, I want an O for O'Leary, but I needed Oreo style. So yeah, Alex,
That's
good to see
great.
you.
Yeah. Hey, good. It's still morning for both of us. I don't know about where other people are coming in from. I'm Alex. I lead customer experience and sales here at Kilo Code, and I'm also in Maryland. I'm what are we, like 30 miles apart, something like that?
Yeah, I
Not
would
far.
say not much, but well, not far as the crow flies. But if anyone knows
Yes.
anything about Maryland traffic, which
Whew.
maybe Ivan from Switzerland doesn't, but it 30 miles or it was 30 miles or like
Yeah.
48 kilometers, but
Right.
it could take like an hour and a half for me and Alex to get
Yeah.
to each other easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 days exactly. Yeah.
Right.
A mile per day is average speed around here. So great. Well, thanks everybody for joining. The idea today is a Q&A. So glad to see you all in the chat. Feel free to drop questions you may have for us. The general subject was like using AI coding tools with your team. Oh, there's also a questions section you can use as well, but feel free to just drop them wherever you
Either
can.
way is fine.
Um, Alex and I spend a lot of time talking with folks that are using Kilo Code. And Alex specifically, of course, spends most of his time thinking about how folks are using it with our team, with their teams, with for both our Kilo teams and Kilo's enterprise products. Um, and we hear a lot of the same questions, so we wanted to answer some of those together today. I know Alex probably has some. I have some, but we're hoping that you all joining us have some as well. About like, hey, I've used Kilo Code, or maybe I've tried it, or maybe I haven't. I'm assuming you've heard of it if you're here um, with your team, and I see we've got folks from all over and various different teams. And maybe the question hear most, Alex, and I'll like send it over to you, and then
Yeah.
we can see what else there is like, okay, I've used Kilo Code, it's great, like I installed it, it's easy to get started, but then like how do I like even start thinking about using it, for work or with my team at work?
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's a great question. And it's like it's a question that comes up a lot with a lot of open source products, right? Like people try out open source products, they're like, I love this, this is cool, but like what happens next, right? And I think the obvious answer that we see is people want to use this with their teams. And so what they are looking for is the ability to take the cool things they've done on their own, right? Whether that's building out various ways to, you know, use and control agentic workflows, whether it's full sort of developer lifecycle kind of stuff, putting agents into CI/CD platforms or code reviews or other, deployment environments. And then like, how do I share that with other people? Because as a solo developer, you develop something cool for yourself, and then you want to
mhm.
share it, right? Like you want your whole team to be able to benefit from that. And if you're a manager or things like that, right? Like you want your whole team to be getting better together. That like one person discovers this like great new prompting method that just is so good, or there's like a new model that comes out and everybody's like, whoa, this is the one, this is so good for us, right? You need that knowledge, right? You can share it in spoken ways and just tell people, but really being able to actually like share those modes and those prompts with other people, being able to actually be like, hey, this is the model we should use, let's get everybody on it. Those are the kinds of things that we see people sort of taking that next step and being like, all right, we're gonna do this with our team, not just an individual. The other piece, obviously, is getting it. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like cleared with security and compliance folks, right? Because they all like are kept up at night a little bit by like what all of us are doing with open source tools, right? And so obviously at some point, if you want to be able to share those things with the team, you run into those questions about security and compliance, and are the models training on our data, and all those kinds of things. And helping folks navigate that, I think, is a really, really important piece. So yeah. I don't know, Brendan, anything you're seeing from your perspective that, you know,
Yeah, I
is.
mean, I think that sharing of knowledge is the thing that people ask about a lot. Um, and I used to say this back in the day, which is not even that long ago, but maybe 10 years or less ago, right? There was this whole debate of like, okay, how do we share the knowledge about how we deploy or how we
Right.
set up a dev environment for this, right? Because again, you have like your code base, and then the question is, okay, I've got a new developer getting up to speed. Like, how do I bring them up to speed? And I think, what we saw at that time that was, how can we codify these things also as code, right? That's when we saw the rise of a Terraform or Pulumi, and this way of like, how can we do infrastructure as code, right? Um, and I think that's really I think that's given me a bias maybe here, but I think it's an important one that like thinking of a lot of things as code is an interesting way to think about it, right? You mentioned like modes, right? And so kilocode modes are one thing that we use a lot, right? There's the mode of asking versus coding versus orchestrating. But it made me think of when you were talking, Alex. I'm going to share this like link in the chat here. Like even when we're developing kilocode itself, which is open source, of course, there's like a couple of modes that we use, right? And like one is like translating, right? So most of our team, well, actually, most of our team probably speaks at least two languages because we have a lot of folks in the Netherlands. For me and Alex, I think, well, I actually don't know if you speak another language, Alex,
I do
but like
not.
in the US,
I
right,
am
we're
monolingual.
monolingo a lot, right? And so it's a lot of English, and that's fine. And of course, to code, a lot of times folks have to learn English, but we want the Kilo code itself to be internationalized, right? And it is into like I guess I could look. I did pull up the code to find this. There's at least like um I'm looking at locales 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's like 14 or 15 languages I think that Kilo code's
I didn't realize we had
internationalized
that
to.
many.
Um, but we have this custom mode that helps us when we add new features. Can we go
Can we
create the
internationalize
like
that?
and
Yeah,
and like
localize it.
and there's a way that we do it, right? There's like a way. It's like the key things that we want, the key terms that we do want to translate, don't want to translate, right? Because some things don't translate better. What are the files that are impacted? And so if you look at the link that I sent in there, that's actually the Kilo code custom modes that we have for coding Kilo code. It's very meta. I'm sorry. Um, I promise that wasn't just like an SEO
Build a
play to say
compiler with
kilo
your
code a million
compiler.
times, right? Yeah. But we have this translation mode that is very specifically, like you said, a great prompt that we've found works really well when applying internationalization to our code base, right?
Well, I
And
think that's a great metaphor for what a lot of these modes are doing, and particularly the ones that people are sharing inside
mhm,
their organizations, right? Is like a lot of organizations develop a dialect around their own things, right? Like
yep,
the product components, right? There's sort of a dialect around that. And my background's in data science, and there, right? It's like, what are the fields that we use all the time? What are the terms? What are the conventions? How do you access them? And so being able to have those shared modes where, out of the box, your new colleague all of a sudden knows all those things. Yeah, exactly, Andrew,
yeah,
right? Like that term and terminology. That's gold to be able to have somebody walk in on their first day all of a sudden and be able to write code that sort of conforms to those norms. I mean, sometimes they're more than norms, and then they figure it out pretty quick, or their code doesn't work. But the norms, right, are like easy to get in there. I think via those sort of shared modes, shared rules,
yep.
um, those sorts of things.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, again, I think it's underappreciated use of like agentic coding tools, right? Because I think every demo you see, well, hopefully not from us, but like every demo you typically see of it is like, look how fast code is coming into the screen, right? Which is like that has positives and negatives, right? Like a great is you can
I
make
thought we got over lines of code per day as a metric of
right,
productivity a long time
exactly,
ago.
right? Like that is not that we know that as humans we don't want lines per day to be the like the metric that we measure against. So why would we think that AI should be? It's like actually the thing I use in the Kilo Code repo the most is not code mode, it's ask mode, so that I
Yeah.
can have the AI do that thing of like, hey, where is this? And well, like I want to touch this one thing, but I'm worried about what else that's going to impact. It's actually really good at like being
Yeah.
another set of eyes
Well,
for
and
me.
we also have a little advantage over the audience, which is that we have access to code indexing mode, which
Right, yeah,
hush
yeah,
hush is not public
yeah.
yet.
Well, yeah, yeah.
but
So that's a way that you can
but
share. Yeah,
it like that also really accelerates this, and so I'm excited for everyone here to have
yeah.
access to that soon.
And then to your point, I think another thing that's really valuable when working with a team and codifying in code um, is for all intents and purposes just a really great prompt that we've like codified in what we call the memory bank. Um, and um, and yeah, so that is a way of actually giving your AI teammate a
Right.
leg up when it comes in. And this is like, how can we codify, like you said, the product, the the tools that we use for this product, the technology behind it, in a way that every time you start a new turn with AI, it's not like starting from scratch, right?
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time, right? Because that's this context window is going to reset every time. And in some ways, you want that, right? A polluted context window can actually decrease the ability of the AI to give you something meaningful, but you might want some basic stuff to go into the context window every time. And I think the memory bank is like one of the best ways that I've seen um, folks succeed in that in a way that is then shared among a team. Because like now in our memory bank, again, we have it for our landing page repo. I know I have a memory bank enabled. I have it for my
Yeah.
own. I have it for my. In fact, I use it for myself just on my like web pages repo because now I want every time the AI like starts up, like I spoiler alert, don't love React as much as most people. I guess I shouldn't maybe say that out loud, but like I love Svelte. And so like I want it to write, it's in my landing page is in Astro, but and then like when you want to do something cool with Astro, you need to write a component. Well, like by default, an LLM is going to like love writing a React component, and I
Right.
don't love reading and writing React components. So I'm like, like in that memory bank, it's like always use Svelte by default for components, and like now that really helps. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah,
Andrew was curious about whether the LLM is whether the memory bank is still relevant. I think the answer is definitely yes, as far as we can see,
I
right?
think yes. I think, but it can also be a crutch, right? Like it's one of those
Mm,
things that like with everything, there's like two sides to it. It's like you don't want to shove so much in there that now you're polluting context every time, and you don't want to like restrict its ability to do exploring with the memory bank. But like I think having a minimal memory bank that has like again, we talk about in the memory banks docs a lot this, but like I think it deserves stressing a lot. It's like you want to as a human review those. Like that is you want yes, it can help create it automatically and it can update automatically, but you reviewing that is almost more important because that is now the thing that's going to get shoved into the memory every time.
Well, and I think to what we've been talking about, right? The ability to then like take that and be like, oh, that's actually a good point. Let's put that in our team shared mode, right? And like let's
Yep.
actually share, like let's intentionally make that part of the way that these tools work across the whole team. I think that's a really powerful thing, and there is that like um, that turn of like, oh, let's we've captured some of this automatically, like let's review it, and we realize like, oh, actually that is a rule we think everybody should follow, or a guideline, and putting that right in the code, sorry, in your managed mode, right? Like that's really cool. And again, right, means that somebody else on day one doesn't have their memory bank doesn't have to learn it themselves. They get it on day one when they join your team, which
Yep.
is really cool.
Yep, and I realized, sorry, Andrew, up earlier had asked about you alluded to this like code indexing mode
Yeah.
thing. or shared code indexing. And yeah, so I linked a page in there. Um, we've shared this with a couple folks, but actually, if you go to kilo.ai/next, it has all of the features that we're kind of working on prototyping and getting out right now. We just this week actually put into beta our deploy feature, and we're excited for that to get into people's hands and used, and we're hoping to make it generally available soon. Um, but the thing that Alex was alluding to is another way that I think sharing knowledge is going to become more standard, which is like today everybody can index their code with Kilo code, but it's like a little bit of a
Hackery,
lift.
DIY.
Yeah, I mean it's DIY, right? But it's okay. It's open source, right? That's how it is. It's like you can, if you have Quadrant already, you can connect Kilo code to that, but a lot of folks don't. So it's like the instructions are like spin up a Docker container with Quadrant in it, which is great and again works
But
great.
also then you're doing it locally, right? Like it's hard to do across a team and the embeddings are expensive. And so like if you
Exactly.
have
It's
a
like you don't
team,
want to pay for those embeddings over every person. Uh,
yeah.
what we're going to be bringing to Kilo Code soon, we're calling managed indexing. And what it's going to do is allow you to say, hey, for this, for our team, we want to have, a centralized semantic index that then everyone just automatically gets, right? Like I download this repository and I open it up and I go to the Kilo Code tab and it's already indexed, right? And that's already just shared for my team, and gives me this like ability to have semantic understanding of the code base just like when I write up. When I boot up my editor and not have to go do it separately. And again, like you said, the embeddings, like let's pay for that once, and then share it many times over the rest of the team.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brandon, I know another question that's been coming up a lot that I think we should probably touch on is like a lot of people these days have an account with Anthropic, with OpenAI, they have Claude Code, right? Like how are people using that with Kilo, right? Like because
Yeah.
how are we having a both and experience there and not
Yeah.
like competing
I mean, I
so
think
head to
that's
head?
yeah, I mean, I think that's like kind of foundation. That's a great question, but it's also like really foundational to the way that we form not just Kilo Code, the product, but the company. Um, there have been other folks, right, like Cursor and other like AI coding agents that have spun up and said, okay, we're going to give you an AI coding agent, and we're going to give you like a subscription to it, and it'll have some AI included. But we knew starting Kilo, that wasn't like a sustainable way to build a business because a like ideally for all of us, um, those costs will go towards zero, but b they're not going to go really to zero in the way that like a lot of like traditional SaaSes have, right? Because it's like at some point AI inference has got to throw electrons through a GPU, which is going to cost some amount of money. Um, and and because it's not going to go to zero, it's like you're not going to be able to make money in a traditional sense on as a subscription SaaS on top of it, right? So we've always just charged, only at the cost, for the AI inference side of things. That allows us to be open source. It allows us to bring in and say, hey, you can use the Kilo Gateway, which is like our easy button of inference. Again, we don't make any money. Like little spoiler alert, it's like we actually lose a little money on that because like we're doing other infrastructure things, but then we're only charging the cost of like the AI infrastructure. Um, but instead, you can bring your own, right? So a lot of people, especially in teams, like you said, have already maybe an existing relationship with, let's say, Anthropic, or with a cloud provider like an AWS or an Azure that
Right.
has, then
They're
then
hosting
they
these models on
hosting
behalf of
these models
yeah,
themselves, right? And they want um they want to say, hey, we already have like AWS credits, like can't we just use those for
right.
inference and Bedrock? And the answer is yes, right? So you can bring your own inference to Kilo, but then pair that with the features that we have, either again as an individual developer, maybe that's just you put the key in and you're done, but as a team, maybe that's, hey, we want to pool this usage and understand how people are using it, like Kilo for Teams allows us to, and maybe bring indexing or these other tools to bear on it. Um, and so yeah, so the answer is yes. You can bring your own key. Like today, as an individual, you can just do that in the extension. And if you're trying to do that as a team, you should get in touch with us because we can talk to you about how we're able to, kind of pool that usage and share that usage in a way that then gives you also all of the like teams benefits to Kilo. So I think that's really critical. And I'm going to be putting together some content on specifically AWS Bedrock because I think that's pretty interesting and then maybe as like a more generic use case for anybody that has their own inference to bring, but is
Yeah,
also
I
something.
remember how much it blew my mind. I mean, talking to customers and stuff over the years, when I realized how much pre-committed AWS spend people have, and that often that spend is at like less than $1 per dollar. And so like a lot of companies are really excited to spend their AWS dollars before real dollars. And so like I know I've worked with a lot of teams before that have been struggling to get AI tools or other kinds of tools for real dollars. But if they can figure out how to get to the AWS or Azure dollars or Google
Hmm.
Cloud dollars, right? Like your company may have millions and millions of dollars that they have to spend this year with AWS or Azure. And often because of the way AWS or Azure does that, it's like actually 95 cents on the dollar or something for the
Right.
company. And so they're really happy to do that. And I've seen a bunch of cases where this has unlocked people to be able to use tools that they were told like, no, 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 you can't spend that money. And then when they go, but can I spend AWS dollars? All of a sudden their bosses are like, hell yeah, like let's go
Yeah.
spend that. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have it, let's use it.
Yep.
And that I think is really cool and a really something that I think is just starting to happen
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, and I
AI
think
world.
like you said, I think there's a wide variety of companies, right? Because sometimes it's startups that have like initial, you know, credits for those folks that want to bring new companies into their platform, and sometimes it's a large enterprise that, like you said, is kind of maybe hard to get approval for new tools, but because they're so large, they have these massive spends with the cloud provider, and that is a relationship that they're happy to, like you said, teams are happy to leverage rather than, oh, we've got to bring in another tool. It's like, no, 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 can we just do AWS marketplace spend? Like, oh, yeah, great. And then, yeah, Andrew's asking about like talking about bring your own key. Are we talking about putting it on dashboard side of Kilo? Yeah. So this is what I wanted to talk about. I think you can't see it today. Like you can't save your key to the like dashboard side of Kilo. You can do it in the extension. But what Teams brings is the ability to like say, how can we connect that account at that kind of Kilo provider level? And then there's kind of two methods of doing that. It's like, do we then proxy through our provider to your provider, or do we actually route instead of routing from Kilo to the Kilo gateway to somewhere else? We actually let the Kilo extension smartly route directly to that provider, cutting the Kilo provider out of the loop, but then maybe giving just the Kilo provider enough data to like help you control it like you can with Teams.
Right. See
Um,
that usage. I mean, one of my favorite things that the Teams dashboard gives you is that project view that you can actually see by project and by person. Uh, where are your AI? Where's your AI usage going? Like as a team leader, right? Like that's a really cool ability to see where people are using this stuff.
yep.
Use this project. Yep.
Yep. And then yeah, another question that I've heard a lot is like, okay, how do I like control this like spread of AI, right? Like there's obviously and at the risk of being another tool on the market, right? Kilo is. It's like how do we like understand and control what people are using? You started to get at that with this project view, but like what else are you hearing people ask about when it comes to like how do I control is maybe like an overloaded word, but like I think it's maybe the right word. Like where can I like know as a if I'm a team leader and not like an individual, like
Yeah.
how can I know, what my team's doing and if it's giving us value or not, right?
Yeah. I think it's a great question. I think people are sort of scrambling around for an answer, right? Like you
Mhm.
see people doing this sort of at the gateway layer. You see people doing this with tools like Langfuse and other things that like give you call by call level
Mhm.
insights. And like I think those tools are all great. in most cases, certainly if you're a team leader, like you don't actually want call by call
Mm-hmm.
insight. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like way too much info. It's like that is way more than I need to know. And so that's another thing that we're really actively working on is, already we have a bunch of stuff that gives you usage information, right? Like, how is the team using Kilo? Who is using it? What projects are they using it on? What models are they using? What's the cost of that? Because sometimes right, like different models cost different amounts. So usage and cost are not synonymous in this case, although they're obviously related. And so really working to build up the analytics that Kilo gives you around that. And I think the piece that we're going to be adding more and more of in the future is more information on not just the usage, right, which is just like tokens in, tokens out, but more about like how often are those things being actually applied, how much is actually valuable from that, right? And I think the other thing, is we've been adding more and more places that you can use Kilo, right? So it's not just in, right, like if you go back 3 months, the only way to use it was like an agent in the IDE. You could talk to it and ask it to do things like we're hard at work on autocomplete, cloud agents, code review, right? Like these all these different surfaces where you can use Kilo. And I think that's a really powerful, both like it's a really powerful opportunity, and also means that I think those engineering managers and folks are going to want a pane of glass where they can understand like how much usage is going on here, and like is it actually doing anything meaningful. And so I think that's a really important question
Yeah.
for folks who want their team to adopt AI. Those questions are inevitable of like, is this actually worth anything to us? um, I know,
Yeah.
Brendan, anything else you think about in that vein?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I know we're coming up towards time. I'm again, you and I could probably talk all day, but I just want to say
Agreed.
it to the folks that are listening. I think we had scheduled this for 30 minutes. I can't remember. But if you've got questions burning, like send them in now because I think we're going to wrap up
Please.
shortly. But yeah, I think it's interesting. What's interesting to me is, and this is why I've been in developer tools for like ever, not forever, but for a very long part of my career. And it's really a lot of fun because it's like you get to kind of like you get to really truly dog food, and like sometimes I once had a marketing leader tell me, I hate dog food. Say drink your own champagne. I'm like, yeah, okay, but let's be
But
real. It's dog food
whatever.
until
It is dog food for a
for quite a
while.
while. But that's
Eventually you get
okay.
some champagne, but
Yeah,
then you stop
exactly.
using that part because you're trying the
Exactly,
stuff that's
because it's
new.
fine. Yeah, exactly. And so I think there was like a really cool moment, and I was actually trying to like get it. I can actually like share a little screenshot here. And this was when one of our colleagues, Suresh, was building the new deploy feature that we were talking about, right? And so this is like the idea that you can, um, I'm trying to get the link to the docs for that too. You can
I
use Kilo code to deploy. I had it already, and then I wasn't ready
you had it queued up.
to deploy an app directly, right? And right now it's for Next.js, but like we're gonna expand that support obviously really quickly. But you can see this little spike in Suresh's graph, and we're like, oh no, Suresh wasn't working on deploy; he was working on review agents, another new thing. And you
Yeah.
see this little spike, and it actually told us when Suresh had gotten like finally hit gold because he was using his account to test it. And so that spike was the day that he like really got it working. But it was this huge spike that was like a different spike than the rest of the engineers. And one of our engineer managers was like, oh wait, did Suresh just discover some new way to
Did he
like
get
use
it?
Kilo? And like he's like hit the singularity, his AGI all of a sudden. It's like, no, it's just that was the day he got review agents really working and was testing the heck out of them, right? Um, but it's still like it was a really cool like thing. It was like this actual insight of like he's like, actually, it's just the sign that I've been like pounding review agents today
Right, right,
with
right.
my API key, right? It wasn't like some singularity of like, oh, Suresh has now figured out how to use Kilo code better than all the rest of us. But again, it's just like
But
this
like
things.
maybe Sora has figured out how to use Kilo code better
Maybe
than
he
all the
did,
rest
and
of
he's
us.
just not
Like,
telling us he's on a beach somewhere, and it's not Suresh anymore. Um, but anyway, like it's just that kind of insight is the insight you don't really get um, again, it's maybe very specific to our team, but again, to your point, like being able to break down by project, being able to break down by team, being able to break down by model, and see these trends that you would otherwise just be lost
Yeah,
to someone's thoughts on their computer. You know, that is where like all of this money that many teams are pumping into AI can actually turn into like not just, again, of course, if it's making your engineers better, that's great revenue. That's money well spent. But what can we do to like really like make a step change to what we're
totally.
doing? I don't think it's until you are able to, again, look at the right level, right?
Yep,
You and Andrew were talking about like getting the right level of data in front of a manager can or a team leader or even the team itself, right? Like this usage data is available for lots of folks on the team and available for everyone for themselves. Um, you know, it can bring some really interesting insights.
totally, totally.
Yeah, and so maybe one last question. Andrew's asking: is it possible to say or find out with this info if X model is better than Y model at Z thing? That's a great question, and I think that, you know, if we had that question again, we'd be on the beach right now. Um, but I think the answer is it's starting to go that direction,
Yeah,
right?
we're at the
Like,
beginning of that.
yeah, I think we're at the very beginnings of that, where you still often need a human to do that reckoning, right? Like the story I told was like human reckoning against it. But I think if we can start to be better at correlating AI usage to the code that was shipped, to the deployment that happened, to the real world impact that it had, I think that's where you're going to start to see the industry and hopefully Kilo Code go. And so I think that's a really good insight, and I think it's one that hopefully we can empower humans to get those insights today, and then eventually like how can we automate more of that. I think, you know, that's what we do day to day. So
Love it, love it. Cool. Well, Brendan, always a pleasure to hang out. Thanks to all
yeah,
the folks who joined us from wherever they are.
yeah, and yeah, if you're interested, there should be a link to try Kilo for Teams. I can send that here too. On the pricing page is probably the easiest place to grab it. Yeah, thanks all for sharing your time with us today, and we'll catch you around the internet.
Great.
Take care.
Thanks, y'all.